Okay, so a couple of things that I want to go over, and this will help in your labs and then in general for quiz questions and the stuff we're going to do on exercises going forward. There's some basic things that I'm going to want you to know just how to do so that I don't have to explain it step by step over and over and over again. Number two thing I want you to walk away with today is that this is not going to be the only notes you're going to take for lesson 6. I'm just going to create a section there for lesson 6 notes. We're going to take these and then we're going to go over some AP style questions that may be asked about this topic. And we're going to take notes on how to approach those questions as well. So basically all you're doing, jotting down some notes, take a picture, upload it to Classroom. This is not going to be the last one. There's more notes. And it's all part of the same assignment. So we're going to keep it together in that one group of things. So the big thing that people are tending to have a little bit of trouble with is declaration of arrays. So we'll handle some of that. Basically, an array declaration is just like any other data type. Okay, so let's say I have an array of strings, right? The only difference between singular string and an array of strings is this symbol right here. Everything else is basically the same. We're creating a string array. We have to give it a unique identifier. Just call it words. And then it equals a new string array. And then the big thing is that an array is static in both size and data type, right? So we have to declare all this stuff while we're initializing the variable. So if I'm initializing words, I have to tell it, hey, I'm going to put strings in here, and it's going to be this size. Make sense? Yeah. Because everything's static, there's no reason to initialize without the size. The other thing is a lot of times I'm going to ask you to declare these as instance variables. That can be a little tricky, but it really does just work like the same as any other data type as well. So if I should be able to, up here where instance variables, whoa.
Well, YouTube.
Didn't I just copy that? That's weird. It's Fortnite dances. Really trying to work on my floss. So when I'm just declaring as an instance variable, I'm usually just saying data type and unique identifier. So all I have to have here is data type, which is a string array. Make sure you use the symbol unique identifier. Inside the main is usually where I'm going to initialize or set it equal to something. Words is a new string array that's 5 slots long, or 5 containers long, or whatever you want to call that. The other super important thing is, especially with strings, the entire point really of having the array for the most part is so that you can have one variable that contains many different values. It avoids, if I'm creating 5 strings, this array is going to help me avoid creating 5 separate string variables to contain those strings. That saves energy and time for me, and it also saves computer memory, which is important. Every time you create a new variable, it eats up a little bit of computer memory. So what we do is we can just add those directly to our array containers using a for loop. So if I say for int I equals 0, and we're going to run the loop as long as I is less than the length of words. Now again, I want to reiterate, I think we covered this in the lesson, but I want to reiterate, length when it comes to arrays, length is not a method inside the object arrays, so you do not need the parentheses. When you go inside a string, right, the object string has a method called length, and that's what returns the length of the string. With arrays, it's actually an instance variable, so it's one of these. So we can just call it directly with dot notation. It's not returning anything. The value is already there contained. And then we're going up by 1 each time. Okay? So what we're going to do here, I created the scanner object already. I imported scanner. Have my scanner object called keyboard. So now I can just say words at position I is. Now what am I missing? I'm asking for an input here, right? What do I need when I'm asking for an input? I should probably throw in a user prompt, right? Here's where it gets super fancy. This is going to be so exciting when you guys see this. So if I say system, if I put a prompt here, right, I can say, please enter word, and then I can add I here, which will tell me the number of the word that I'm adding, but I'm going to put a +1 because the index is a little off, right? We don't want to say please enter word 0 because the end user is probably going to be like, what? So please enter word 1, please enter word 2, please enter word 3, etc., etc. So if I do this, it loops and it just says, please enter word 1, I enter word 1, please enter word 2, I enter word 2 until I get to 5. Printing out your arrays. You can do it in a variety of different ways. The big one is the enhanced for loop. The enhanced for loop, I want to clarify this as well because some of you guys are getting a little out of pocket with this one. The enhanced for loop only works if you want to start at the beginning of the array and take out each one of those values one by one, all the way through till the end. If you want to customize it in any way, say I wanted to print every other string or only the even strings or print them backwards order, I have to use a regular for loop. So, but if I'm going to use the enhanced for loop, let's keep in mind I'm going to say for every string in words, right? Because words is my array. Now I need a temporary identifier for each of the strings. So I can call it word. So it's like saying for each word in words, right? But I could really just call this anything else. Since I'm going to print these out, I can call that as long as I reference it properly here. Right? It doesn't matter what you call it, but I prefer to use something that makes sense because when I think about it, I'm saying I want to print each word in words, so this actually makes a little bit more sense to me. So if we run this, what I do? Oh,
you need the user in the curly brackets.
shouldn't need curly brackets.
No?
No.
Put static before the variables.
Static. Don't forget static. That's going to go away soon, but we will get there in a couple of different lessons. So if I go here, let's try again. Oh, here we go. So it actually does print. It's kind of hard to see, but it did actually print A, B, C, D, E. Now, that's kind of ugly output for us. So we want to make it a little bit more fancy. So what I'll do is I'll eliminate that print line and I'll add a little space in between. So I'm just printing A, B, C, D.
Uh-oh.
What the heck? What did I do?
Kill.
There we go. So you can see it prints nice in a little row like that, which is cool. Now, let's say I wanted to print every other word, and here's where we go with the regular for loop because we're customizing it a little bit, right? First off, I'll probably add another print line statement just to space it out, and maybe I'll even add an extra line so that I can see it a little better. And I'll create a for loop. Int I equals start. Well, let's start at 0 like normal, and we'll say I is less than words dot length, and I'll just go up by 2. All right. Let's say words at position I, right? Can't just reference word anymore because it's going to be like, what is word? Because you didn't declare word in here, right? So we need words at position I, which contains the word that we want. And we'll add a little space in between. And really being fancy, let's say every other, and we'll go here. Come on. I think I got it. Anybody see any mistakes? All right. A, B, C, D. It's all right. What'd I do? I took an L.
Do you want to put print instead of print line?
I do want to put print instead of print line. You're right. All right. Let's get it right this time. There we go.
Big brain.
So I printed every other word. Questions on that one?
No.
All right.